Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed the lessons from last week. Looking forward to making some art with you again soon. Thank you to all of you who have been sharing your creations with me, whether you're sending them through email or posting them on Canvas. I've been really excited to see what you've been creating. Hopefully I'll get to see you at the How You Doing Hot Dogs. And I really miss seeing all of you. I love you, and stay tuned for your lesson. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to make a fun abstract art doing texture rubbings. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to create just a bunch of different lines to create different shapes where I can add my different rubbings into. So you can use anything as a straight edge. If you have a ruler at home, that's great. I'm actually going to use this box of foil as my straight edge. So I'm going to use it, and I'm just going to put it on my paper, and I'm just going to draw lines, creating different shapes on my paper. So I'm just creating crisscross lines. Doesn't have to be at the same angle, so you're just creating different lines on your paper. Maybe I want one right down the center. I want to break these up a little bit. All right, so you see how I've kind of broken my page up into little sections just by moving that straight edge around and making different lines. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a color and use a marker to trace all of my lines. So I'll show you when I'm finished. All right, so I've gone ahead and traced all of my lines with a blue marker. So now the next part is the exciting thing. You get to go around your house and maybe outside looking for different textures. So textures are surfaces that have kind of a raised feel to them. So for example, this is going to be my first texture. This table is made out of metal, and it has a very unique texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my paper on this table, and I'm going to choose one of the shapes to do. So I'm going to start with this side shape, and I'm going to pick a crayon. This works best with crayons. So any color crayon, I'm going to use this green, and I'm going to take my crayon, and I'm just going to rub my crayon in this shape and create a textured rubbing so I'm just staying inside this one shape. So you can always reuse the texture later if you have trouble finding other textures, but we're going to try to just stick with one texture in each box. All right, so there is my first texture in that box. Okay, so now I'm going to go looking for another texture that I can use, and I'm going to bring a different color. So let's see. How about this brick wall? And I'm going to rub this texture right here on this piece of paper. All right, the next texture I'm going to use is the side of this playset. It has a really interesting kind of rough texture. So I'm going to hold my paper up against this. I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to rub my crayon just in this area to create that little polka dot texture. All right, now I'm going to go look for a new texture. Now I'm going to use the texture of the lid of my fire pit. So I'm going to hold my paper on the fire pit, and I'm going to go ahead and rub All right, and that is that one. Let's find another one. All right, now I'm gonna use the texture of my barbecue grill. So I'm gonna lay my paper right here on top of those grates. And I'm gonna use my blue, and I'm gonna do, and if you notice, I'm not doing it straight up and down. I'm kind of leaning it to the side, because if you lean the crayon on its side, it makes a better rubbing. So I'm kind of laying my crayon flat, kind of like this, at an angle, and rubbing my crayon across. So there is my texture in there. This is the texture of this bike tire. So I'm gonna lay my paper on the bike tire, and I'm gonna use my crayon, and I'm gonna rub I'm kind of folding the paper. It's okay if it kind of gets a little crinkled up. I'm getting that tire mark. See, that looks really cool. So there is my tire texture. All right, now I'm gonna use this wood texture on my fence. So I'm gonna hold it up against my fence. I'm gonna use this yellow. Oop, got some blue in it apparently. I'm just rubbing. Wood texture. So you can really see that it created these like textured lines here. All right, next I'm gonna use this stone texture. So this is a little stepping stone. So I'm gonna lay my paper down, and I'm going to rub my stepping stone. This is my finished rubbing art. So you can see that it really created a unique piece of art with all the different textures. I did start to have a little trouble finding other textures. So what I did is, since I had created so many different shapes, I repeated some of the textures, but I just used a different color. So right here I used red instead of this turquoise. And right here I really loved this texture, and it really feels actually really cool if you touch it. So I redid it over here in purple. So I hope that you enjoyed this activity and you got to kind of walk around and investigate lots of different textures at your house. If you get a chance, go ahead and send me a picture of your art. I would love to see it. I miss making art with you. I love you all, and I will talk to you again next week.